Alright everyone, so for this video I'm going to show you guys how to go about writing your answer to a short answer question. I want to do two things with you. I want to explain to you the paper that you guys have in your Essentials Guide on pages 80 and 81. I'm going to go through that with you, and then in a moment, this isn't the one that you guys have on the test tomorrow, but this short answer question, how you see it set up here, is very similar to what you'll see tomorrow. So I wanted you guys to get familiar with what this looks like and then what you'll need to do for it. So that's the plan, so let's get to it. So, it says here, it just says the short answer question is designed for you guys to explain historical examples that you know best. On the actual AP exam, there'll be 4 short answer questions. You are required to answer 3 of them, and you'll be given 50 minutes to answer them. So tomorrow on the test, I would plan on giving yourself about 12 to 15 minutes to do it. That should be enough time. So just pace yourselves appropriately. So here's the first part. It says that you guys will have a prompt with 2 or 3 parts. You'll have an A or B, or an A, B, and C to answer. I know on your test you'll have 3 parts. The one that I'll show you here has 2 parts. So if it has 2 parts, just an A and a B, one part might ask you for 2 examples, and then another part might ask you 1 example. But if it's 3 parts, then you just need to give 1 example for each. And the prompt will have text, images, maps, or graphs, but actually some of them now don't even need to have anything with it. The one that you have on tomorrow's test will, in fact, have some text that accompanies it. Okay? So we can ignore like the if you don't answer all of the question or provide enough content for a part, you won't get the point for that part because it's a little bit different for how you'll be graded on the test. But we'll talk about that later on, okay? This just tells you, again, writing your answer. You're going to write your answer in the box. You won't really have a box on the test tomorrow. You just have the backside of your Scantron. And make sure you know it's the backside that you can write on. You cannot write your short answer on the front side because the Scantron reader will not read it appropriately. So just the backside of your paper. So for number 2, you see there it says you must label and separate the parts of your answer. So just do like an A and a period, or an A and a colon, whatever, B and a C, and you have to do this. You can't just write one big massive paragraph that doesn't separate A from B and from C. Notice what it says for number 3. Like, this should be a relief to you guys. 2 to 3 sentences for each part should be able to get it done. So 6 to 9 sentences for all of A, B, and C put together should be enough. So you don't need lengthy paragraphs. I do not want bullet points or sentence fragments, and I do not want quotes either. It's really just evidence and analysis. Okay? So in a lot of these, it's going to say for you to identify and explain, and that's exactly what the test is going to ask you to do. So when I say identify, I mean give me evidence, give me some type of specific example that supports what's being said, and then for explaining, explain why that evidence is a product of the quote that you read with the passage. And if that sounds vague to you, I think the example that I'll give you in a moment here should clarify it. So, as best as possible, including specific events, details, and developments, that is going to be really helpful for you. And down at the bottom, there's like a little acronym to help you remember. It's ACE. So you answer the question, you cite specific evidence, and you explain how the evidence proves either your assertion, or in this case, actually, proves a historian's assertion. Okay? So here's the example that I pulled up for you guys. It's 2 quotes, one from Aristotle and one from Plato. And they're both just talking about basically the idea that it's good for some people to have lots of political power and others to have none. Like, that's a good thing. So down at the bottom, what you need to do is, for letter A, you need to give 2 examples from the Greek city-states or Persia of attitudes towards their society and their social structure that kind of reflect what Plato and Aristotle are saying here. So basically, what you need to do is identify, give the specific example, and then for explain how the example you gave supports the quotes from Plato and Aristotle? How does it connect back to those quotes? How is it a reflection of those quotes? And then for part B, it just says, what is a counter argument? And that's something different. That's really not what you're going to do on Thursday. You're really going to do something like part A has. You're going to do that 3 times. So basically, it'll let you know. You'll have a quote at the top of one historian who believes one way about a particular event, and then the second quote will be a historian talking about the same type of process, but who takes a different perspective on it. And so like part A will say like identify and explain one piece of evidence that supports the first quote, identify and explain for letter B, identify and explain something from the second quote that supports that author's argument, and then for letter C, it's basically like whatever historian that you agree with, whether it's the first or second one, identify and explain another piece of evidence that supports their argument that they're making. That's really all that it is. I don't think that I really need to go into too much other detail. Just remember when I say identify, give me some type of historical evidence to support that author's assertion, and explain why the evidence you're giving is a product of that author's assertion that they've made. That really about covers it. If you guys have questions, you know what to do. Either bring them up in the Google Hangout, which will be Wednesday night at 7, or just post them on the Mr. Lutz is Absent I Have Questions page, and either I or someone else in class will answer them for you. So again, your passage will look kind of something like this on the test. Easy, messy. Or you should also look pages 80 and 81 that has this information about the short answer question, and that is in your essentials guide. Okay, so I will see you guys tonight at 7 p.m. and we'll chat. Take care.